All right, let's just dive right into this explainer, shall we? Today, we're going to completely demystify the biochemical effects of modern drugs. From your morning cup of coffee to heavy narcotics, we are going to look at exactly how these substances are manipulating your brain. And hey, real quick before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel for new explainers so we can keep breaking down fascinating topics just like this one together. Because today, it's all about those invisible chemical cascades that kick off every single time a substance enters the human bloodstream. For literally billions of people, the day just doesn't start until that very first sip of coffee. But here's the thing. Caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It just temporarily hides your own exhaustion from you. We treat it like this fun cultural ritual, but in reality, when you get that morning headache or that heavy brain fog, you are actively experiencing withdrawal from a drug. So let's get into part one, the mechanics of false energy. Take a look at these major stimulants. It is absolutely fascinating to see exactly which natural brain chemicals they're hijacking to make you feel sharp, alive, and unstoppable. While they all offer this elevated energy or focus, they are manipulating entirely different pathways in your brain, from adenosine all the way to dopamine and adrenaline. So what's the deal with caffeine? Well, the crucial point here is that it simply blocks adenosine. When caffeine enters your brain, it fits perfectly into your adenosine receptors, acting like a tiny chemical roadblock. Your neurons fire faster, you feel sharper, and you get that instant confidence in a cup. But listen, the adenosine is still building up in the background. The caffeine is just delaying your tiredness until later, when it wears off and all that adenosine floods back in, causing that brutal, inevitable afternoon crash. Now, if we look at the rapid life cycle of nicotine, we uncover a totally different and honestly super quick trap. Within literally seconds of inhaling, nicotine hits the brain and releases a huge surge of dopamine. Your stress melts away and you feel this brief, really clean calm, but it burns out incredibly quickly. As that dopamine fades, the calm turns straight into tension. The real trap of nicotine is that it doesn't actually relax you. It just resets the withdrawal from your previous hit. Your brain basically learns that peace only exists between cravings. Scaling things up, cocaine takes this dopamine hijack to a much, much more intense level. By blocking your body from naturally reabsorbing dopamine, your brain is suddenly just drowning in pleasure signals. The peak is this instant rush of electric brilliance. Every single thought feels perfect. But because the brain's reward system burns through its fuel so incredibly fast, the high is sharp and short. Within minutes, you hit a crushing come-down of anxiety and exhaustion, and your brain is instantly rewired to need another hit just to feel normal again. And then there's methamphetamine. This takes that false energy to the absolute extreme. It doesn't just block reabsorption, it actively floods your brain with dopamine and adrenaline, supercharging everything all at once. Normal motivation turns into total obsession. You might feel driven to clean your entire house or chase some sudden massive goal. But the biological cost here is devastating. It burns through your entire dopamine supply in one go, ultimately destroying the brain's natural pleasure system. That infinite energy, it is literally stolen from your future self, leaving behind a chemical hangover that can last for days. All right, moving on to part two, the illusion of true peace. So now we're looking at depressants, things like alcohol, benzos, and opioids. These work in the exact opposite direction of the stimulants. Notice how they all suppress the central nervous system to manufacture warmth, relaxation, and an escape from stress. But just like before, they each target completely different mechanisms in the body to achieve the slowing effect. The incredible trick that alcohol plays on us is this unbelievably powerful illusion. It disrupts how your brain actually communicates with itself. At first, this brings warmth and social confidence. But as you hit the peak, your judgment fades and your coordination starts slipping. Yet your brain is falsely telling you, hey, you're doing great, everything is perfectly fine. It's a chemical that makes you feel alive while slowly dulling every single thing that keeps you in control. Okay, let's look at benzodiazepines, or benzos. These guys act directly by artificially enhancing GABA, which is the natural chemical responsible for quieting your thoughts and relaxing your muscles. The onset feels like pure relief. Stress just drifts away like fog. But the real danger here is how easily benzos convince your brain that it can no longer live without that chemical silence. With frequent use, your brain actually forgets how to stay calm without the drug, which leads to a highly dangerous withdrawal if you stop suddenly. Opioids. They offer what is arguably the most terrifying cycle of all. They attach directly to your opioid receptors, completely blocking pain. The onset brings a warmth that feels like safety itself, literally like sinking into the world's softest blanket. But inevitably, this leads to a brutal come down. As the drug leaves your system, you experience anxiety, muscle pain, and nausea. During withdrawal, every single nerve in your body screams for the drug. Opioids rewire your core survival system, tricking your brain into believing the drug is as essential as the air you breathe. Part 3. Rewiring connection and reality. This next group of chemicals is incredibly diverse. We're talking cannabis, MDMA, ketamine, and they actively alter serotonin and glutamate levels to literally bend reality. These drugs manufacture chemical connections and distort your sensory input, taking the brain on a journey completely detached from normal biological reality. Starting with cannabis. So, the main active chemical, THC, enters your bloodstream and rushes straight to the brain, and it binds perfectly to the exact same receptors that handle your natural endomedames. This twists normal reality into something that's both dreamy and focused at the same time. Time slows down, senses sharpen, and your brain's network for regulating mood, memory, and perception is completely hijacked. Then there's MDMA, often called Molly or ecstasy. This one demands a massive biological trade-off. At the peak, it floods your brain with serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. You are running on absolute maximum empathy, and you feel deeply, deeply connected to everyone around you. But here's the catch. You are essentially borrowing massive amounts of serotonin for just a few hours of perfect connection. Because it burns through that supply so insanely fast, the come-down leave you emotionally empty and exhausted. You realize that profound connection was purely chemical, and your brain is left holding the bill. Now, this is truly mind-blowing. When we look at LSD, the dose is literally measured in millionths of a gram. It is microscopic. Yet, it completely rewires how your brain processes reality. It binds to serotonin receptors, specifically 5-HT2A, and makes reality itself seem to breathe. During the peak, the part of your brain that says, I, me, literally dissolves, merging your thoughts and sensations into one continuous wave. Ketamine operates a bit differently. It's a dissociative. It rapidly blocks a chemical messenger called glutamate, which helps process sensory input. This creates an out-of-body peak, what people often call a K-hole, where perception detaches completely. But as that come-down hits, users often find themselves in this foggy world, separated from their physical pain for sure, but also completely detached from any sense of meaning. It's a drug that separates body from mind, and sometimes they don't fully sync back up right away. Magic mushrooms or psilocybin. They interact with serotonin receptors to sharpen your senses and stretch time. But the fascinating thing here is that the drug doesn't actually invent new realities. It simply amplifies and pulls back the curtain on what is already sitting there inside your own mind. It dissolves the mind into something either incredibly beautiful or terrifyingly overwhelming, depending entirely on your mindset going in. Finally, Part 4, the ultimate chemical cost. So, what is the big takeaway here? The underlying theme across absolutely all these substances, whether it's the coffee you literally just drank this morning or heavy street narcotics, is that they offer temporary relief, energy, or euphoria. But they ultimately require the brain to pay a severe biological price. They do not give you anything for free. They just rearrange the chemistry you already have, often leaving you completely depleted. I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought. Understanding the mechanics of these modern drugs reveals a fundamental truth. We just cannot cheat biology forever. Whether we are desperately chasing productivity, relaxation, or this profound sense of connection, we have to ask ourselves what actually happens when that chemical supply runs out and we are left with only our baseline selves. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the science of your everyday life.